I'm an amateur referee just 2 years into my journey, and this is my toughest game yet. First versus third, and everything's on the line, and my goal is simple: to become a professional referee. But this match does not go to plan. I miss an off-the-ball incident, and suddenly the players, the sidelines, and the fans really get on my back. From that moment, things start to escalate. I have to respond. Big decisions, multiple yellow cards, and a red card, and the game starts to boil over. The question is, am I ready for the next level? So in football, obviously every football match starts with a kickoff, and your position as a referee is key when it comes to kickoff because it allows you to be proactive and be in the right place at the right time right from the start of the game. So from this kickoff, as you can see from the layout, it looks like the ball's going to be played up in this direction where I am. You would imagine that the ball's probably going to get played into this area here. However, that doesn't happen. The ball gets played back to the fullback. There's a press, and so I have to squeeze in to make the first decision of the game, which is this throw-in. Then very, very early on in the game, we get a penalty decision to make. You'll hear these shouts for handball. I wave it away and say no penalty and give a goal kick. So for handball, only two things need to really be considered in general. So one is it a deliberate act? And two, is their arm or hand making their body unnaturally bigger? This doesn't meet that criteria for me. And on top of that, I even think it actually hits his torso, not his arm. And so for me, no penalty to start the game. We then get another handball decision. Again, this is not handball, even though there are lots of shouts. Again, why? Because look how close he is to the ball. The ball flicks up off the defender's leg. It hits the forward's arm. It's not deliberate. It's not unnatural. This is not handball. We then get this tackle here. It looks like the number 10 has maybe been caught in the face by 7's arm. I didn't see it that way in the moment, but it obviously does happen, and so we stop play and call the physio on for him to get treatment. This is not what I want to focus on though. You'll see that a player comes over to ask me if he can remove his undershirt. Reason for this is obviously people think it's a yellow card for taking your shirt off. Is that actually the case? Do you get a yellow card for always taking your shirt off? It's a common misconception that taking your shirt off is a compulsory yellow card. This is actually for what we call an excessive celebration. So under the laws of the game, this is what it says. Players can celebrate when a goal is scored, but the celebration must not be excessive. Choreographed celebrations are not encouraged and must not cause excessive time wasting. A player must be cautioned, even if the goal is disallowed, for removing the shirt or covering the head with the shirt. So, removing your shirt when you score a goal is classed as an excessive celebration. However, taking your shirt off to put on another undershirt or remove a vest or something like this is not a cautionable offence. So here we got our first yellow card of the game for this handball offence. So why is this handball and the other two are not? So as that ball gets played up in the air, you'll see that number 5 realises he's not going to be able to control this with his chest, and so he deliberately brings his arm away from his body and controls the ball with his arm. This is a deliberate handball, so we have to stop play, give a free kick. Why did I decide to give a yellow card in this scenario? Contrary to popular belief, not every deliberate handball is a yellow card, okay? Just because somebody deliberately handles the ball doesn't make it a yellow card. For example, let's say a player thinks the ball has gone out of play, so they pick it up and it's not gone out of play. You don't necessarily give them a yellow card just because they've deliberately handled the ball, okay? For me, this is clearly stopping a promising attack. If this green number 5 does not handle the ball, then the red forward and the green defender are going to be in probably a 50-50, 60-40 to win this ball and then potentially be going in towards goal. So for me, the nature of this, with it being deliberate and it potentially falling to a forward who would be one-on-one with the defender, I think this is stopping a promising attack and a cautionable offence. So you let me know what you guys think in the comments. First yellow card of the game, would you have given a yellow card here? And then just a minute after that, we get this foul. So ball gets turned over, driving in towards goal, there's contact on his back, a little trip, and so that for me is a clear foul to give. However, is this a yellow card? Should this be a yellow card for stopping a promising attack? The red number 7 certainly thinks so. So let me explain why I thought it wasn't. This player is driving in towards goal, but then takes his touch sideways Okay, so the direction is not necessarily directly towards goal anymore. And that was really the main reason I didn't think it was stopping a promising attack. I can see why people would maybe give a yellow card here. Okay, at this point, let's say here, he's maybe 1v1 with this defender. But for me, that touch just before the foul was inside. And so he wasn't making a direct drive towards goal. This for me wasn't quite stopping a promising attack. I opted not to give a yellow card here, but I don't think you would be wrong if you did. Shortly after that, following a throw-in, we give a foul against the red forward for this holding. So you'll see that the green player is trying to shield the ball. The 11's got his arms all over him. That for me is a clear holding offence, and so we give a free kick. One thing I could do differently here is handle this reaction better. This big slap of the floor is an act of frustration, an act of dissent, and so I could have a word with him. The issue with this one is I've had matches in the past where I've not given decisions for this player, and he is under the impression that I don't like to give him fouls, etc., etc. So it felt better to me not to necessarily interact with him a lot throughout the game, because having done that in previous games, you know, there's been some conflict. So I decided it's probably best not to. So I let this one slide, but that sort of reaction can't really be tolerated a lot. So it's something to keep an eye on. We then have this throw-in decision. So it's important to note that at my level of football, I do not have neutral assistant referees. This gentleman holding the flag is one of the staff of the team in green, and the other assistant is a member of the staff for the team in red. So I am the only qualified official acting as an official in this match. And so these assistant referees are what we call club assistants. They are not neutral assistants. So when we get this throw-in decision, you'll see that the player in green swings his leg to kick the ball. It looks like on replay, he actually fouls the red player, and the ball comes off of red. I wasn't entirely sure. I thought he had kicked the ball. Clearly he hadn't. This is a foul. It should have been a free kick to red. But I'm looking at the club assistant to see what he thinks. He then gives a little gesture with his hand that the ball is a throw-in for red, and so I give the throw-in to red. Obviously the green team are upset by this. They don't agree, and it is incorrect. It should have been a free kick to red, not a throw-in. But in the end, we give a throw-in to red because I wasn't sure, and a club assistant would give it to their own team if they were certain. On this case, that didn't happen. There was a slight signal, so I've gone out and given the throw-in to red. And then from that throw-in, this happens. And then we give this foul against the red 11. You'll see the disbelief. And I'll explain why I've given a foul this way. So you'll see that as this ball is played, both players start to hold each other. So the red attacker starts to hold green, and the green attacker has got his hand on 11's shoulder. Throughout this whole time, they are still grabbing each other. The 11 is holding the green player is defending. He's still holding him. He decides then to throw himself to the ground and then pulls that defender down with him. So for me, this is a clear foul against red, not for red. And I don't see how this is a foul in benefit of the red team. It's clear holding for me. And so at this point, I'm telling him, mate, you're holding him, you're pulling him down. If you keep your hands to yourself, then I'm not going to give a foul against you. And then we have an interesting situation with an advantage. So the ball gets cleared by green. There's a turnover of possession, and the team in green go on the attack. There's a foul here which is evaded, so I play an advantage as the team in green have a clear opportunity to score, and unfortunately nothing comes of it. Why have I not pulled it back for the yellow card? Well, one, I didn't see who it was. I lost track of the number when I was given the advantage. But two, it wouldn't be a yellow card anyway. So advantage is when an offence is committed, but the team that are on the receiving end of the offence have an opportunity to still play and still gain an advantage from playing. So you let play continue rather than penalising the foul. Advantage can usually last for a few seconds, and this is what law says. The referee allows play to continue when an offence occurs, and the non-offending team will benefit from the advantage, and penalises the offence if the anticipated advantage does not ensue at that time or within a few seconds. So that's advantage. So why isn't this a yellow card for the slide tackle, which is clearly attempting to stop a promising attack? When advantage is applied, sometimes the sanction is downgraded because that offence has no longer occurred. For example, advantage should not be applied offside in situations involving serious foul play, violent conduct, or a second cautionable offence unless there is a clear opportunity to score a goal. So, in serious incidents, you do not play advantage. For violent conduct, serious foul play, you should just stop play and issue the red card. However, if the offence was denying the opposing team an obvious goal scoring opportunity, the player is cautioned for unsporting behaviour. So if you play advantage for dogzo, which is a red card offence, it downgrades to a yellow card. And if the offence was interfering with or stopping a promising attack, like this tackle here, the player is not cautioned. And that's because you would apply a yellow card for stopping a promising attack, but that is now downgraded to nothing because the attack has not been stopped. If, however, I deem this foul a reckless tackle, then the yellow card would still be issued because playing the advantage doesn't negate the fact that the tackle is reckless. I hope that makes sense. I'm explaining that to the player here, that the reason he's not cautioned is because it's not stopped the promising attack and I've played the advantage. However, he believed the tackle was reckless. I'm not so sure personally, and if I had this again, I wouldn't issue the caution. I then give this foul against red for this holding offence on the number 3. Again, this is clear holding. He's got his arm over his shoulder, pulling him back, not allowing him to get to the ball. And from that free kick, the team in green equalise. And less than a minute after that, the team in red go 2-1 up. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is half time. Now, it may feel like not a lot has happened and we've only had one card, but I can assure you that the second half is not quite the same. But before we jump into it, I just want to give a massive thank you to Invigorate. I made the mistake in Cyprus of just drinking water, and a lovely company called Invigorate reached out and said they love the content, but they cannot see me out in the hot climate just drinking water. So Invigorate sent me some sample of their electrolytes to try out, and I absolutely love them. But what are electrolytes? They're basically a mixture of minerals to keep you hydrated whilst you exercise. And the reason I love these is because the ingredients are so simple. It's simply just a mixture of sodium, potassium, calcium, magnesium, some natural flavouring and natural sweetener. It's all made here in the UK by 2 great guys down in Devon. Just this bag here contains 90 servings, which works out to about 25p per drink. So massive thank you to Invigorate for supporting the channel. If you want to grab some of these, you can use my link in the description and make sure to use code ERIC25 for 25% off. So let's jump into the second half. It starts off with a bit of controversy. You'll hear the sidelines are not particularly happy with the assistant's decision to raise his flag for offside.
Oh! Have a word! Fucking hell, he's fucking 4 yards onside. Cheating bastard.
So that ball gets played over the top, and as it does, you'll see that the red forward is an offside position. So the assistant raises his flag. However, the player that ends up playing the ball was not in an offside position. So I decide to wait and see, and then I'll go and talk to the assistant after to explain why I've, delayed stopping play. The reason I delayed stopping play is because being in an offside position is not necessarily an offside offence. So as you'll see here in law, it is not an offence to be in an offside position. A player in an offside position at the moment the ball is played is only penalised on becoming involved in active play. They become active by interfering with play, by playing or touching the ball, or interfering with an opponent by preventing an opponent from playing it or challenging an opponent for the ball. Clearly attempting to play the ball, which is close, or making an obvious action which clearly impacts on the ability of the opponent to play the ball. So in the moment, I wasn't sure if the red forward had made any of these actions. So I decided to wait and see. It's better to let play carry on and you can bring it back than blow up early incorrectly and the red team could have gone on to score a goal. So watching this back, I went over to chat to the assistant and I came to the conclusion that he had actually made a clear attempt to play the ball, which impacted the opponent. He really ran towards the ball a long way, and so everybody stopped, presuming that he was going to play the ball. And so for me, this is different than just standing still and letting the ball run past you. He's made a clear attempt to play the ball, running all the way up towards it until the last second. So for me, that's why I still brought it back for the offside offence. We then get this off the ball incident that we've missed. So the ball turns over and the team in green go on the attack. The 6 plays the ball forward, and then the home 6 trips him off the ball, and then there's an offside offence which we blow up for. Things like this can really cause a game to escalate, and that's kind of what happens in this match. The game really starts to heat up after this, and unfortunately, in real time, I missed it. As that ball is played forward, as a referee, there are a few things that I'm thinking of here. So for me, it's clear that the ball's probably going to get bounced back to here and then played forward. So I'm looking at the forwards, anticipating where that ball will go, making sure not to see a foul as we've got potential spar, potential dogzo, etc, etc. That's exactly what happens, and as it happens, you'll see the number 6 decides to trip the green 6 on his way down the wing. The player number 7 who received the ball was in an offside position, so the assistant raises flag for offside and we give the offside offence, but unfortunately we don't see the interaction off the ball. If I would have seen it, I likely would opt for a yellow card here for unsporting behaviour. You can argue no card, weirdly, but for me this is a clear trip, unsporting behaviour. The expectation at grassroots here would be a yellow card in my opinion. It wouldn't be violent conduct. I don't think it meets the threshold for brutality, and so I would have issued a yellow card if I saw this. The difficult thing in this situation is, based on the reaction, I know full well that he has been tripped off the ball, but I haven't seen it, and so you can't just take the punt. So now that I can feel the temperature rising in the game, I opt for the decision to start giving some slightly softer fouls to slow the game down. I was saying that we get this decision out on the wing. So it's between the same two players here, the number 6 and the number 6. The 6 delivers the ball, the red 6 slides in and he kind of makes contact with him, but it's not with his legs, he kind of just, the momentum takes him with his back. I don't think this is a foul. I think this will split people. I think some people think it's a foul, some people this won't. There's a bit of an unwritten rule in football that, for example, a striker takes a shot on goal in the penalty area, a defender slides to block it, the momentum carries him into the striker after he's had the shot. Should it be a penalty? No. It's like kind of an unwritten rule. You don't kind of give that. For me, this is the same kind of scenario. The green 6 has crossed the ball clearly. The ball's well gone. He doesn't make contact with his feet. It's just like the excess momentum of the slide tackle takes him in. I don't think this is a foul, but I'm happy for you guys to tell me otherwise in the comments. Let me know what you think. That red number 6 actually really injures his shoulder within that tackle and comes off injured. We then give this foul against green. The green player jumped up to challenge for the ball and has kind of put his knee into the number 8's back. It's a clear foul. He's not able to play the ball where he is. So yeah, I give a free kick. And from that free kick, the team in red go 3-1 up. We then give this yellow card for holding. The team in green win possession. They try to break forward and the number 8 deliberately pulls this player back and stops him breaking forward, and so we bring play back. I decide to issue a yellow card here. Again, the green team are trying to break away from the box. It's a clear act of holding. There's no attempt to play the ball, and so for me, again, this is unsporting behaviour, and so I opt for a yellow card. And then we give a yellow card for this slide tackle out on the touchline. It's going to be hard for you to see this on camera because it's quite far away, but you'll see the nature of the tackle is a slide tackle, kind of scissors him, swipes his legs a little bit, and so for me this is reckless play and a yellow card. So you've probably heard this word reckless a few times so far in this video. What does it actually mean? So when an offence involves contact, a referee has to decide if that is either careless, reckless, or uses excessive force. A careless tackle would typically just be a foul. A reckless tackle would be a yellow card, and using excessive force would be a red card. Careless is when a player shows a lack of attention or consideration when making a challenge or acts without precaution. No disciplinary sanction is needed. Reckless is when a player acts with disregard to the danger or consequences for an opponent and must be cautioned. And then using excessive force, exactly what it says on the tin. Using excessive force is when a player exceeds the necessary use of force or endangers the safety of an opponent and they must be sent off.
Come on!
And again, another big tackle out on the touchline so you can feel the temperature of this game, right? From that throw-in, I issue a yellow card for this challenge from the player in green. The reason for this is as he challenges for the ball, he makes no attempt to actually play the ball, right? So you'll see him turn his back, which shows there's no genuine attempt to play the ball, and then leads out with his elbow into the three's chest. For me, there's no clear attempt to play the ball. This is reckless play. This is close to being dangerous if he makes contact with the number three's head. I do not want any challenges like this, and so I issue a yellow card for reckless play. I then give a yellow card for this challenge. So these players are breaking through, he gets tripped, and so I opt for a yellow card. I think this is incorrect. I don't think there's any need for a yellow card here. The trip is accidental. There's a genuine tussle for the ball. He tries to go around him, accidentally clips his heels. The ball's going out into the corner of the pitch. There's no reason for a yellow card here, in my opinion. It's not reckless. It doesn't stop promising attack. It's not clear, unsporting behavior. It's just a careless foul. He accidentally trips him. So for me, this is incorrect. There's no need for a yellow card here. From that free kick, there are big shouts for a penalty. You'll see that the number 3 drives into the box, loses control, knocks it back to his teammate, goes down, and there are shouts for a penalty. For me, this is never a penalty. He's played the ball, he's already going to ground, no penalty for me. And then just 30 seconds later, we get probably the biggest decision of the game. The ball's bouncing around, the number 8 who's already been booked, kicks the green player like this, and we give a free kick. Second yellow card or not a second yellow card? What do you think? I opt for a second yellow and show the red card. The reason I think it's a yellow card is I think it's reckless play. There are some mitigating factors as to why you wouldn't give a second yellow card here. One is I think there's a bit of an unwritten rule in football as well that for a second yellow, it needs to be absolutely nailed on, and the threshold for a second yellow should be slightly higher than a first yellow. Some people will disagree, some people agree, but it's a bit of an unwritten rule in football, I would say. The second one is he has no idea the player's behind him, right? He's swinging, kicking the ball, completely normal action, doesn't know the player is there. So give him the benefit of the doubt. Completely understand. For me, the reason why I've given a yellow card here is I think the amount of force used when kicking this player makes it reckless play. Unfortunately, as a referee, whether he knows that player is there or not is irrelevant. If you try and kick the ball and you kick someone in the head with force, it's a red card, whether you knew they were there or not. So I'm not thinking about whether he knows if the player is there. If the player was dribbling past him and he kicked him with that amount of force, it would be a yellow card for reckless play. And you can hear the contact. There's a lot of force in this kick. So I think it's a second yellow card. Along with that, the temperature of this game is high. There's a lot happening. And so for me, my threshold for cards had really lowered to try and keep control of this game. But let me know what you guys think. Would you have given a second yellow card here, or do you think this is just a foul, a free kick, and maybe a talking to? One thing you'll see is as that tackle is made, you'll see this red player here, the number 7, signal to the bench that they should have subbed him off, and he knows what's coming. He knows this is a second yellow and a red card. He'd indicated to the bench earlier in the game that they should sub him off as he's on a yellow card, etc. And it's clear that after that foul, he expected it. However, the green players didn't really protest for it. I'm torn on whether that's because 1, they just weren't really switched on enough to understand that he was on a yellow, or 2, they didn't think it was a yellow card. I don't know. Shortly after that, we then give another yellow card for this challenge. So the lad jumps in and wins the ball, but he does not win the ball in a safe manner. Winning the ball does not negate something being a foul, okay? You 2-foot somebody, win the ball first, go through them. That is not an okay challenge. And for me, the way that he has lunged in, left the floor, fully extended leg. He's kind of come over the top of the ball. He's not really won it. It's hit more of his trailing leg. For me, again, this is reckless play. And so I've opted to give a yellow card. And again, I'm trying to keep the temperature of the game down and not allow it to boil over. And then out on the far touchline, the player in red clears the ball. There's just a coming together. For me, it's not a foul, and the red player goes down holding his knee. Important to note at this point, he's really shouting, like he's really hurt, okay? And so I check on him to ask him if he needs treatment. I ask him 3 times if he needs treatment, and he doesn't respond. So I'm under the impression that he's under too much pain to answer, so I should call the physio on. And then miraculously, he gets up and he doesn't need treatment anymore because they're already down to 10, and obviously he knows if he goes off, they're going to be down to 9. As I've already called the physio on for the player to receive treatment, the player must exit the field of play. So as it says in law, if the referee has authorised the doctors and or stretcher bearers to enter the field of play, the player must leave on stretcher or on foot a player who does not comply must be cautioned for unsporting behaviour. So as you can see, it says an injured player may not be treated on the field of play and may only re-enter after players restarted. He's then complaining, saying he doesn't need treatment, he doesn't need to go off the field of play. And so I'm basically saying, well, mate, I asked you 3 times, you were shouting. If you didn't make a meal of it, you'd still be on the pitch. So you need to leave, and I'll call you back on as soon as I can. And this free kick against Green. For me, the number 7 gets his body in front of the ball and the number 6 brings him down, and so for me that's a foul against Green to the defending team. Obviously the red team are leading and we get a corner, and so we have to be very vigilant. What's going to happen? They are going to play the ball short, they are going to shield it, and there is going to be some argy-bargy. However, in this scenario you'll see that the red player gives us his best Tom Daly impression and throws himself to the floor, and so we opt to play on and let the Green team carry on the break. There is contact with him, so I opt not to give a yellow for simulation. However, he has gone down very, very easy. That board is cleared and the number 7 has ran from the corner all the way back to me to show some clear dissent, and so I issue a yellow card and a sim bin. I could probably issue a second yellow card and a sim bin to the number 11 as well. However, they're already down to 10, they'd now be down to 9, and then I'd sim bin again and they'd be down to 8 with a few minutes left, and I felt like I could manage it with still talking rather than issuing 2 sim bins in quick succession. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is full time. What a difficult match. Not every decision was perfect, but I'm really happy with how I managed this game in hindsight. I hope you guys have enjoyed this episode. Please let me know what you think down below. I hope you've enjoyed it, and as always, I will see you next week.